All right, today we're going to talk about different kinds of slope. So before we actually talk about calculating slope or anything else, we want to make sure that we know all the different kinds of slope that there are. So we have this thing we use, it's slope dude. I didn't come up with this, but you know, hey, it works. So there's a little dude. Okay, he looks very sad. He's got positive, negative, he's got a nose, and here's his mouth. Okay, so there's my little dude, my little slope dude. So what this is talking about is this is a visual way to remember all the different kinds of slope. So we have positive slope, we have negative slope, we have undefined slope, which is new for us this year, and zero slope. So we'll start with the stuff that we already know. We know that this guy right here is positive slope. We know that because besides the fact that it's got a plus here, our little fella, our little dude here is going uphill. Remember, when we look to see whether it's going up or down, we always go from left to right. So we're always going to draw our arrow going right. Okay. Now, we also have negative slope right here. Negative slope. And my little dude this time is going downhill. Now, positive slope, an example of positive slope might be like y equals 3x plus 7, because this number, the slope right here, is positive. An example of negative slope might be y equals negative 3x plus 7, because this number right here is negative. Okay? So those are the two easiest ones. I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail because we have done tons of examples of positive slope, of slopes that are, you know, in slope-intercept form or in y equals kx direct variation form. All right, so now we're going to move on down to zero slope. Zero slope is the other one that we've done. When we look at our little dude, he's not going uphill or downhill. He's not going up or down. He's just going straight side to side. This is a horizontal line. Okay, we have a horizontal line. And it's got zero slope. Or we can write the number 0. Now, we will never ever say no slope. Now, I'm sure there are places where they say no slope for undefined or 0, but honestly, I get confused. And so, if I find it confusing, I'm not going to mess with it. The official, technical, exactly mathematical way to say this is 0 slope. So, we're not going to say no slope. We're going to say 0 slope, or the slope is 0. We're not going to say anything else, okay? So when I look at this, with this, I rise and run. My rise and run are both positive. With this one, my rise is negative, my run is positive. One of them is negative, one of them is positive. But with this one, I have no rise, just run. So when I'm looking at a table, I'm going to see a table that has no rise, just run. If I look at an equation of this, it would look like y equals 0x plus 7, you know, keeping up with our example there. Well, 0 times anything is 0, so it's just going to be y equals 7. So our equation for a line with 0 slope is going to be y equals something. Okay? Now, when I look at a table, when I look at the table of y equals 7, it looks like this. If x is negative 3, y is 7. If x is 0, y is 7. If x is 5, y is 7. If x is 726, y is 7. It doesn't matter what, y is 7. And when I actually look at my rise over run here, first of all, I see all 7s. That's my first clue that I have a y equals equation because all the y's are the same. But if I look, I'm not changing at all. My delta y has no change. My delta x is changing, and the values don't even have to be the same. But 0 over 3 is 0, so my delta y over delta x is always, and it doesn't matter which of these numbers I use, 0 over anything. 0 over 3, 0 over 5, 0 over 722 equals 0. Okay? So that's always going to work out that way. Okay? So that's how we can tell slope of 0 or 0 slope or whatever. Now, the one that we haven't done yet is undefined slope. This is the first one. Now, when I look at my little dude, my little slope dude, I'm going to turn this sideways so I can draw him. What is happening to my little slope dude? He is falling forever. He's just, yeah, there he is. He's falling forever. He is rising or falling, and he never runs. He just falls. So maybe sometimes he's like an I-fly. He floats up a little bit, and then he floats down a little bit. But if he's just going to fall forever. He's never going to move side to side. He's always just going to go up or down. Okay? So, again, when I look at this over here, here's my undefined slope. It's U right there tells me I've got undefined, and these zeros tell me I've got zero slope. Okay? With my undefined slope, okay, right here, I'll show you in a minute why we call it undefined. Okay? In this one, it's a vertical line. Okay? And we have no run. Only rise or fall. Okay? So we're not running, we're just falling or rising. Okay? So when I look at this, what we're going to see, and I'm not quite sure how to explain it to you, so I'm just going to show you. What you're going to see when you look at the table, if y is 2, x is 7. If y is 43, x is 7. If y is negative 263, x is 7. If y is 0, x is 7. Okay, so I'm just going to look at the first row. 2 plus 41 is 3, 7. These are all plus 0. Okay, and these I'm just not going to do the math on right now. Okay, now, when I look at this, if I take my delta y over delta x, I get 41 over 0. And when I put that into my calculator is very angry with me right now. Okay, 41 divided by 0, I get error, divide by 0. Okay, attempted calculation contains division by 0. Calculation fails. So my calculator is actually telling me you can't do that. When I was in school, they taught me this little thing to help me remember this. It was okay, no way. 0 over anything is okay. I can do 0 divided by a number equals 0. And number over 0, no way, it doesn't work. It's undefined. It produces an error in my calculator. That's why we say it's undefined, because we can't actually do that math. Our calculator won't do that math. It's undefined. Okay? So, that's why we call this undefined, because when we put it in our calculator fails to calculate it. There's lots of examples I can give, but honestly, I even have a difficult time conceptualizing dividing by 0. I can think about dividing 0. So like I got no cookies, and I decide to share them with all of my friends. What do we all get? We all get no cookies. Okay? I have a whole big basket of nothing. I share it with my friends. We all get nothing. But the nature of division says that I'm going to group things. Okay? So if I have 30 cookies and I share them with 15 people, I've taken those cookies and I've put them into 15 groups. Now they're in groups. Each group has 2. If I take these 41 cookies here and I put them into 0 groups, they've been transformed from 41 cookies into groups, but the cookies there's no groups with no cookies in them. So it's very confusing. I'll try to find a better way to explain it, but really I can't even explain it. It's so like doesn't make any sense to me. So, you know. The other thing we're going to notice about this is a vertical line. When have we talked about vertical lines before? I know you're not going to answer, so I'm going to answer for you because, you know, this is the internet and, you know, I won't be able to hear you if you answer anyway. When we do the vertical line test for functions, a vertical line is so not a function that we use it to decide if other things are not functions. So this is absolutely not a function, which is the reason why we haven't talked about it until now, because we just learned about functions. We couldn't have a conversation about this particular linear equation not being a function because we haven't learned about functions yet. So now that we know about functions, we can talk about how undefined is not a function. So that's all I have to say about slope. And next lesson, we'll talk about how to actually calculate slope.